Hello and welcome to In the Huddle. I'm your host, JT Thomas, broadcasting live from the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Ladies and gentlemen, as West Virginia had their off week this past week, we're going to start off fresh with some University High and some Morgantown High athletes. We're going to talk about their previous game. Joining me today is Cole Straley from Morgantown High. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
We have Dalton McDaniels. Nice to have you here, big guy.
Thank you, Evan.
Guys, I'm going to start off with you guys. I'm going to start with Morgantown High. You guys are having a different season for Morgantown High right now. You have a 3-3 record, although last week you played the number 2 team or number 3 team in the state, Muscleman. And talk about that game a little bit. You know, you guys going up to Muscleman after starting off as slow as you have, and to be able to go up there and, for the most part, create a big upset for that team.
Basically, we just came out, started hot, 14-0, and we just got the ball rolling quick.
Right, I saw that. And it was big plays, big gashes. I think
Yes,
the first
sir.
play was like an 80-yard play or something like that.
Yes,
Was
sir.
it a run or a pass?
It was a run, so we run a single wing offense, and we were just pounding it down their throat the whole game, basically.
Now, this team, you guys played them a few times, right? They should be accustomed to your wing T type of offense. Was it something they did on defense that really made it easier? Did you guys see something that they were doing that caused you guys to run so well early on in the game?
I think the big change was we went from like a regular wing offense to just a single wing, so we have like 4 linemen on one side, and we'll just run it down that way the whole time.
Okay. So let's talk about starting off slow. As I said earlier, this team, talk about or guide me through the steps of preparation for your team preparing to go up and play a team that was a little higher ranked than you guys were at the time.
Basically, we try and be focused the whole week. We go through our film sessions, pay attention to what the coaches are saying, and then we go out in the practice field and try and execute to the best we can.
Okay. And for you guys, I know you got a few things going on. You got the quarterbacks coming back and a few things. How's that working itself out?
With Logan coming back, it basically spreads out the offense more, so people think we're not going to run the whole game. We can spread it out and we can throw it now.
Okay. Well, let me talk to the 6-0 University Hawks here. You guys starting off like gangbusters. Few games that you've been in, really close games. This last game you played in, you guys won in overtime against St. Albans. Tell me a little bit about the game.
Well, we just came in. We weren't as focused as we wanted to be. We were playing flat in the first half, playing very flat. And we went into halftime losing by the largest deficit we have of the season, been down. So coaches talked to us, told us what we needed to do. We came back out and we brought it back. And
you know what? That's interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit. Playing from behind, right? Yeah, as athletes, we both know. Boy, when you go in that locker room, there's a totally different mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Opposed to going in there with the lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the lead, you kind of, going in there to kind of get a little breather, and you kind of loosen up your pants a little bit, kind of chill out a little bit, knowing that you got to strap it up next half. Talk about going in there in that locker room at a halftime and being behind.
Yeah, you're just kind of you're not pleased with your how your team is playing, your effort and everything, and it's usually very quiet, and you're just trying to get focused and figure out what you need to do the second half to come back and
now, do you have some leaders on the team that will, like for me, I remember I was one, if I felt behind, I need to go talk to certain guys and say, man, we need to get this going. You know what I mean? If it was my running back or my wide receiver, I want to talk specifically to these guys and for them to kind of get their group together and it wasn't sort of like that?
It was kind of like that, but it was more of like everybody trying to get everybody to play to what we were used to playing to because we were all flat.
Okay, now, with that being said, did you start off the week and be as honest as you can, right? Did you go in underestimating this team, or what caused the slow start?
Probably lack of focus in the beginning of the week. We were just kind of 5-0 coming off beating Fairmont Senior. We were kind of cocky, and we just didn't think they were going to be as good as they were, play as good as they would have. We just came down there and they.
And I think it was written somewhere where your coach said he was worried about this game being a trap game for you all, based on what you just said.
Yes,
coming
sir.
off a big win and going down there and being able to pull this game out the way you did in overtime. Talk about that a little bit in terms of, did you always feel like you were going to win the game, or was there a point where you said, hey guys, we got to get it together?
I don't. For me personally, and a few other players on the team, we really thought we were going to win the game the entire time. Even when we were down before halftime, we thought we were going to win the game. But we were just flat.
Flat, okay. Now let's talk about this a little bit. I know both of you guys have this homecoming deal that's coming up this weekend. Both of you guys home. It's homecoming.
Yes, sir.
So how does that work when both of you are in town and you both have homecoming? Now, is there, does someone have a as a start time staggered anything? Start time?
I don't think so.
You start at the same time?
I think so. We 7:30.
So, wow. So the town is for the most part kind of split.
Split up,
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's interesting. I figured you guys are probably homecoming parades and all that. How do you work that out?
I think they had theirs on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, we had
And
ours.
we have ours tomorrow.
Okay. Now, do you both go down High Street?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's cool about it, and I'm glad I got you guys here today, is I've been involved in youth football for some time around here, and that's one of the highlights for the kids is when you guys have your homecoming, they get to be a part of that, and I think that's really special. And I think the thing about it is they get to see you guys you guys are people who they look up to.
Yes, sir.
So, and I think the other thing, you guys throw a lot of candy. Right, that's one of the traditional things that I've noticed that we do here. You guys throw candy, so good. So, are you in the court or anything? How does that work out? Are you allowed to be in the court to be the homecoming king or something?
No, we're not allowed to be on the court.
Okay. How about you guys?
No, we're not allowed to be on the court either.
Oh man, I was in the homecoming court. I had to come out. Oh, you sitting here looking like, man, that's kind of soft. Is that?
Nothing wrong with that.
I was the quarterback, right, and it was my running back. And at halftime, I don't remember if we were winning or losing the game. Usually, we pick an opponent that we can, potentially win. So when I came out and I was able to walk with the young lady, and then my running back was with me, and we were both in our uniforms. We both were able to walk out, and I think my running back won because he could dance real good, right? he was a guy that could dance, and I couldn't dance, So needless to say, I didn't win homecoming king, But I'm sure we probably won the game. So, if you win the game, regardless if you're homecoming king or not, right?
No, yeah.
You're a winner, right?
Way better, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm about. So talk about a little bit. What position do you play?
I play a middle linebacker and tight end.
Oh, yeah. All right, I like that. Now, both of you guys defensive guys?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, that is awesome. See, I've been having these offensive guys up here the last couple weeks, and I talked. In fact, we had soccer players up here. You guys know anything about soccer?
A little bit.
Oh, okay, I like that. That's a good thing, guys. Listen, that's a good thing, because if you watch this show a couple episodes back, you'll notice we had 2 rounds of soccer players, and they had to really educate me. Like, did you know soccer has like, when we say in defense, 3-3-5, right? They have like a 4-3-4, something like that. You know what I mean? Did you guys know that?
I didn't know
Right,
that.
see, there you go. I like that. So I'm not the only one. When people look at that, I often say, in fact, on the show, I would say, man, I seem kind of ignorant, because I don't know about soccer, but I'm a football player, I want to go hit people. Now, what I did learn, there are some positions in soccer, midfield or mid something, that they said that person is the aggressive people. And I said, they use the word aggressive and the word attack. Those are all defensive words, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys know about soccer?
Not
much.
Try to kick the ball into the goal.
Do you know how many players in a soccer match?
11?
There you go. Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
I didn't know that. So, but I thought it was pretty cool. But let's get back into football. But I'm glad to hear that neither one of you guys knew very much about soccer. You kind of, redeemed me a little bit. We're defensive guys. We know words about attack and defense and things of that nature.
Yes,
now, what position do you play, if you don't mind?
Defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle. All right, I know a little bit about both, right? I played middle linebacker here at West Virginia. As a youth, I played defensive end. In fact, defense, people kind of really, in fact, I'm coaching in Little League right now, and I do offense, right? Because I played quarterback all my life, and then when we played tough high schools, I played on the defense side of the ball. So, at middle linebacker, what do you guys play?
We play cover 3.
Cover 3. Let's talk about it and kind of educate the fans when we talk about Cover 3. I often tell my son about this, and when you look at a lot of college football here at WVU, they run a 3-3-5, right? And you hear 5, and you wonder, well, explain your Cover 3, and I'll try to explain what a 3-3-5 is.
Or it's kind of like a 4-4 kind of, because we have the 3 down linemen, and then we have a strong safety and a will linebacker back on the the coverage, and then we have our corners and a free safety back, and then we have 2 middle linebackers.
Mm-hmm. Now, and when he says 3, what that means that the field is divided into thirds.
Yes, sir.
Right? And when you're in Cover 3, the deal is you can't get beat deep, right? And when you have 4 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers, you should be better at the run, right? The odd front, 5 front, usually pretty good against the run. And when you are in a Cover 3, you're saying you're going to stop the run, and you got good enough defenders to play in the coverage, right? Do you worry much about coverage, or you just worry about fronts and slants? I get it. And blitzes, right?
Yes,
because you got to know where those linebackers are coming from, so you can pull or push, right? Is they use that terminology still? Pull and push?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Are you a hands guy? Are you into all?
Yeah, I'm pretty good with my hands.
Okay. Now, I never could do any of that stuff that we saw Reggie White and all those guys do. But guys, I'm gonna tell you, we do this little thing here. We give out a trivia question, and for a person to win the trivia question, all they would have had to do was listen to what we were saying and raise their hand, and we'll give them something. In fact, we'll give out 2 shirts if you can answer this trivia question. Again, all you had to do was listen to us, and you would have get this question. All you have to do is raise your hand. Okay, I need to know from you all, what was the score of last week's game between Morgantown High and Muscleman? There we go. 39-29. You are absolutely right, ma'am.
Teresa.
Thank you so much, guys. To win, you got to be down here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. And if you don't catch us here, make sure you go to the DominionPost.com and check us out there. We'll always be there, guys. All right, guys, let's get back into it. So both of you guys on defense. Let's talk about offense a little bit. As I said to you earlier, right, I looked at the stats. You had 185 yards rushing against you from one back. Talk to me about that. How does one back hurt you that bad?
He's a big back. He's a big, really powerful back. I think he's about like 200 and something pounds. I think we were trying to tackle him high too much and not shooting for his thighs. Okay,
did they hand the ball off to the single back a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that generally happens too when you got a back, a key back, and they want to soften you up. In fact, that's what they say, right? They say we want to soften you up. We're running the big back at you hard all night long, and then try to open you up to the pass. But sounds like you guys had the pass on lock with 3 deep.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about your game in terms of what did you guys do offensive-wise. Did they do anything to hurt you right away that you could identify?
They were running the ball really well against us. They ran the ball very well.
Okay. They didn't not throw much at all?
They did pass a lot, but it was either sometimes most of them were incomplete. But their quarterback he's a young quarterback, but he's throwing good balls. But early in the game, they really hurt us in the run.
Okay, that's interesting to hear you say that it's a young quarterback. Did he bring something that you guys just didn't see? Was it hard to prepare for him?
He just kind of chucks it up, just hoping for the big play.
Okay. And you say they hurt you with the run. Was it any particular back? Was it a grouping of backs?
Their backfield was very small. They had a bunch of very young kids in there, and they were smaller kids. And they had one in particular. I think he was 81. He ran the ball the majority of the time, scored their 2 touchdowns early, but he was good back. He got up the holes really quick and just got out of there.
Okay. Now, did they run up the field on you? Did they get outside on you?
They got outside some, but they really hurt us on the weak side of the defensive line.
Okay, what defense do you guys run?
We're running a 4-2 this year, 4-2-5.
Okay, good. Oh, that's interesting, 4-2-5, and that's interesting because you don't have really run support unless you does the safety play off?
Yeah.
You say, wow. That means you guys got to be coming downhill to fill the running alleys to be able to. Okay, I tell you, I learn something every day, right? Like I was just saying, I know about a 4-3. I ran a 4-3 defense to the 5-2. And I mentioned that 5'2", as you guys know, helps with the outside run. You got an extra man, and you're able to allow the linebacker to really run in the 5'2" type of defense, and even in the 4-4. Those middle two backers, one probably takes up anything that comes at it, and then somebody's over the top of it.
Over the top, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So you guys know, do I know what to talk about? All right, let's keep on talking, guys. So one thing that I'm going to, in the second half, we're going to talk about WVU, and we're going to talk about the kicking game. How was your kicking game?
Our kicker came up pretty clutch. We were up by 8 or 7 with like a minute left, and to put the game away, he made it. He put the game away.
Okay, with the kick?
Yeah.
That won the game with the kick?
Not to win the game, but he basically put it away, yeah.
Okay, all right, good stuff. Now, are you guys good in punt return, kickoff, and all those things?
I think our kick return and punt return is pretty good, yeah.
Have you broken one this year from a kickoff return?
No, we've been pretty close a couple times, actually.
Okay. How about you guys on the kickoff return, and punt?
Our kickoff return team is pretty good. We got a lot of good athletes on the field, but we haven't broke one yet this season either.
Okay.
We came close a couple
times
as well.
It seems like it's becoming more difficult to break something on a kickoff and the kickoff return. Do you guys study film and all that? Do you guys do film sessions as well?
Yes, sir.
I think that might be, a part of it, right? Where you're able to see what a team does more often now, And I know that you guys prepare all season long when it comes to football.
Yes,
and it just seems that to me, when I played, there was a lot of where people were running punts back. A couple years ago here at WVU, we had some special guys who were able to be very productive in the run back game. Nowadays, not so much, right? So good to hear that both of you guys are doing well in the kicking game all the way around. So when we talk about football on the show, we talk about 3 sides of the ball. You guys approach it that way as well?
Yes, sir.
Offense, defense, and special teams.
Yes, sir.
Same thing with your offense, defense, and special teams. All right. And what would you say your strong point is for your team right now?
Our defense, for sure.
Defense?
For sure, yeah.
Talk about what's going on with the offense. Is this younger players, or where you at on that?
Before Logan came back, we couldn't really air the ball out much. I think we were throwing like 2 passes a game, maybe. And then offense has really come together now. We actually switched our whole offense completely.
Oh, that's interesting. You got a little few tidbits here. Right? Well, look. So tell me a little bit about you all. What's your strength of your team? In fact, you guys are 6-0. You sound pretty balanced.
Yes, sir. We are very balanced. Our offense is offense that gets the ball. They drive down the field, usually eat up a lot of time, score a touchdown. Defense comes out and gets a stop, and we pretty much do the same thing the entire game.
Now, who had the better record last year out of you two?
I believe they did.
We did. We were 8-2 last year.
8-2?
Yeah,
okay. And I was at the game when y'all beat them in the Mohawk Bowl, I think.
Yes, sir.
What? No, that was regular season. No, it was the Mohawk Bowl.
Yeah.
And now, because you guys came back.
They came back.
Yeah, at halftime. Yeah. I remember that. Okay. All right, so good. So just for the audience purpose, both of these guys are rivals, right? They played this special game here in town called the Mohawk Bowl. And they're pretty cordial to each other right now. But I can almost guarantee the week up until the Mohawk Bowl, they probably will stay on each side of the town. I tell you, it is an exciting game to watch. If you're around during that time, make sure you come out and check them out. All right, guys, I want to jump into a little bit of WVU football. All right. Okay, last week. Well, just before that, I'm going to do one more trivia question. Want to give away something? What do you want to give away? Think rain's coming up?
Yeah, the umbrella.
We're going to give a little umbrella up. Okay. All righty. All you had to do was really just kind of listen to what we were saying, and you may get this answer correct. What is the name of the game that these two gentlemen play against the special game I just kind of mentioned? All you have to do is raise your hand. Raise your hand. Oh, yeah. Mohawk Bowl. You just won yourself a WVU umbrella. Thank you. Again, to win, all you got to do is be at the Green Turtle at 6 p.m. every Wednesday. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to DominionPost.com and check us out there. All right, guys. We're going to talk about WVU football a little bit. You guys are fans?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Watch it? Okay, good deal. So last week, well, not last week. It was a bye week last week, and it was, in fact, I know it's at the right time. We played Kansas. We went out to Kansas. We had a great showing. And it was one of those games where, West Virginia dominated the game for the most part. Although there were a few hiccups here and there. But overall, they did pretty well. It was one of those tune-up games.
Yes,
What
sir.
do you think about it, especially with you guys being 6-0? The Mountaineers are 1-3. They're 1-2 at the time. And they're heading out to Kansas. This is the team that's beat them out in Kansas once before. In fact, we had one of our co-hosts played on the team, Jordan Thompson, talked about going out to Kansas and not coming back with the win, right?
Okay.
Just imagine them going out there this year, 1-2. What do you think the mindset of a team that has to travel such a distance? How do you prepare for a team like that?
You just have to stay focused and practice all week. Keep your focus up. That way you can go out and execute on the field.
Early on in that game, I think they scored an 80-yard pass on us, right?
Yeah.
There was a busted play. We forgot a guy, and they scored one on us. And I'm sure Coach Gibby wasn't too excited about that, But, again, Kansas is a team that is, it's the first Big 12 game, right? So that's a good thing. Start off with a team like Kansas. I mean, the schedule just really laid out perfectly in terms of they played these 4 games that got them out of the way. Play a team that's really just, their program is starting over. But did you watch the game and notice that we had some hiccups on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The defense was really, it seemed like it was struggling at times. That's what I was thinking.
Right. And it was. I mean, it was. One thing about this show, we can really kind of say what it was. And we talked about this last week as being like fine-tuning knobs. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
You look at a game like this and say, well, they're probably fine-tuning, getting ready for Big 12 opponents. The good thing is we came out of that game with the victory. The Mountaineers won that game in a big way. I think it was 56-something, 20-39 or something like that. Talk to me about, from your perspective, and, hopefully you'll get an opportunity to play football moving forward. Just have you ever thought about what you would do if you had to go prepare for a game in another state or another city?
I mean, you just try to keep your focus up, keep your mentality, make sure you prepare yourself thoroughly.
Yeah, when I played, we played Virginia Tech, which is right across the border, right? I have to say those are my worst games. Now, I don't know what it was. Well, actually, I do know what it was, and I think you'll be able to relate to this. So for Virginia Tech, their lineman was maybe 6 foot tall. They were between 6 foot, 6'3". In the Big East, you usually had guys between 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". And when linemen come out to block you, they're known to cut you, right? Mm-hmm. When you and I know when they cut, they usually go around your knee area. Well, the difference between Virginia Tech, which made them so tough, they would go waist high, right? They weren't very tall guys. So they would just kind of chop you at the waist. So if you were taking a guy like that on, what usually happens if a guy's coming that low at him, if you get that low, you're going to stall him here. You're not going to make the tackle, right? You're going to get caught up in the mush. And that's what they did to me. I could never get off a guy because he was coming, low. Either if you want to get the tackle, you'd almost have to dive over the guy to kind of pile it up. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Puppy Wright, James Puppy Wright was known for that. You ever what? Well, you were probably a little too young for that. Yeah. So James Puppy Wright was the guy who played when I played here. Every time we played Virginia Tech, he would always launch over the guy and know that as the middle back, I would be scraping over the top. So if I lost him, at least I wouldn't lose him and have him stalled in the hole. Yeah. But you play middle, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you get somebody stalled in your hole, you can't get over the top. Right?
So you need the backside backer to come back over top for you.
Right. And it's usually a little bit too late by the time, you know what I mean? If everything's flowing away from you. And that's where they killed me at, right? I could not get over that top guy. So for me, my worst traveling trips was to Virginia Tech. I just could not get it out of my head. And I had great defensive linemen. My guys played in the NFL. But for me, it was one of those mental things that just really bothered me. What do you think about, traveling out of state to play an opponent as West Virginia has to do week in and week out?
I think, like he said, keep your focus up, but I think a big thing would also be keeping your body right.
Right. And they do a good job of that. We know that the weight program for West Virginia is, top-notch program in itself. I don't think they have a huge problem with that. But as fans and players, I'm sure the traveling, although you certainly won't hear any player, any coach use that as an excuse, but I'm sure you have to get your mind right to be able to play in an atmosphere such as that. All right, let's talk about people on the team. This has been talked about week in and week out. Will Greer. Last week against Kansas, well, not last week, before last, against Kansas. Again, there was this, I thought that was a tune-up game where he was able to connect with a few players. In fact, last week we talked about he connected with five or six players in that game. What do you think about the Will Greer as quarterback?
I like Will Greer at quarterback. He makes really good decisions. Makes smart decisions. He always seems to find an open receiver.
You know, one thing I like about him, you don't hear much from him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You know, as a ball player, you know, people can't appreciate, from a quarterback standpoint, a guy that just goes out there and does his job. You know what I mean? You don't hear very much from him. He goes out there and he leads his team. And he seems to get better and better every week. What do you think about Will Greer?
I think he's phenomenal. I think he seems like he's connecting with the receivers really well, and he's just on like his best game right now.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me how Coach Hogan is able to find a guy like that, like a Skylar Howard or Trickett, and have him for 2 years and have them play at a high level. And I think right now you have Will Greer playing at a very high level, and you know, not having any history with any particular player. He seems to be connecting well with David Sills.
Sure.
David Sills, the 6'4" wide receiver, quarterback turned wide receiver, is having an awesome year this year, and it seems like he and Will Greer were on the same page, and there seemed to be a duo that I think is going to do pretty well in the Big 12.
Yeah.
What do you think about this David Sills guy?
I think he's pretty good. He kind of reminds me of like a Jordy Nelson type receiver, real tall, pretty fast for him.
Mm-hmm. Long guy. He, you know, when I saw him the first year, as I think it was a freshman, they pulled his freshman red shirt. And I think he caught a pass. I forget what game it was, but when he caught his first touchdown, I always thought that, oh man, this kid's going to be a wide receiver. And then I heard some tinkering about him wanting to play quarterback. And then when he left, I was like, oh man, we just lost a good one. And then I was really happy to see him come back and do as well as he's done. But again, West Virginia has a slew of athletes, and the Kansas game in particular. There was a number 8, the young wide receiver from, I think it's Baltimore. His name is, what's his name? Sims. Sims is, Sims, I think he caught a pass. Did he catch a pass in that game? Yeah, he did, number 8. Now, he also played linebacker, not linebacker, yeah. He also played kick returner, punt returner.
Okay.
And kick return. I think he did a good job playing kick return. Marcus Sims, that's his name.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Sims. I was really excited to see that guy kind of step up and play pretty well. All right, let's keep talking. What do we know about our offense? Well, let's talk about one guy in particular for WVU. Running back, Crawford. Justin Crawford, number 25. Second-year guy, junior college guy. Come out. I was really, I don't even want to say skeptical. I was kind of worried that he wasn't getting enough touches early on against Virginia Tech. I felt like he wasn't getting enough touches. In fact, I thought we kind of threw it too much. But then we come right back, and he had productive games against our next 2 opponents. And then we go and play Kansas, and they do pretty well. Have you guys had a chance to see him, Crawford, much?
Oh, yeah, I've watched it.
What do you think about it?
I think he's really good back. When he gets the ball, he can he hits holes pretty hard, and he can make moves and get out, spread the ball out.
He does. Yeah, one thing about our backs, you know, it's not like West Virginia has one back, right? I feel like we got 3 backs.
Yes, sir.
Right? We got Kennedy, we got Pettaway, and we got Crawford, right? They play in a tandem for the most part, worn back by committee. The guys play pretty unselfishly. They seem to get along pretty well. You don't hear anything about it. So it's good to know that we got 3 capable backs, and we'll be ready to go at any given time. Again, guys, I think West Virginia is setting itself up to be a pretty good football team going into the Big 12. All right, we're going to keep moving. It's time to give away something else. All right, give away something else. Now, I said a score earlier, and really you had to be listening. I know the first score, but the second score I might have been off. what was the score of the West Virginia-Kansas game? And it was 2 weeks ago. All you have to do is raise your hand. All right, so I'm going to make it a multiple choice question. It was either 46-39, 56-39, or 69-39. There we go.
56-39.
56-39. Again, all you have to do is listen as we talk and be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. It's really that easy. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to DominionPost.com and check us out there. Alrighty, guys, let's keep it moving. So, West Virginia is on the road this upcoming week. They're playing an undefeated TCU team, and we're going to Fort Worth, Texas. Now, guys, let's think about that. So I see it like this. I see it like, who's your next opponent? It is Hampshire,
Yes, sir.
right? And I wouldn't call West Virginia Hampshire, but they're going to an undefeated opponent,
Yes, sir.
and they're going to their house. I'm assuming TCU will prepare for them unlike anything else, and I'm sure West Virginia will go in and prepare for them. Talk about what you think you'll see we should expect out of West Virginia TCU upcoming game.
I think it'll be the two teams' best game of the season so far, playing two very well matched teams. That I think West Virginia needs to work on their defensive game a little bit. They gave up some big runs up the middle, a lot against Kansas. I don't think their pass defense was too bad, so I think that if they go in there, keep their focus up this week in practice, and they can go in there and have a decent game against TCU and probably get a win.
I agree with that. And in fact, I think it's one of those. Game day is, after what I understand, game day is going to be on campus for this game. So it's a huge game for TCU and West Virginia. And right now the series is 3-3. This is a tiebreaker game for the Mountaineers. What do you think in terms of preparation? What do they need to do to be successful against TCU?
I think they know it's a big game, especially with game day being there. But I think they're going to have to prepare more on their defense and probably try and air it out and then hit them with a run.
It's going to be a duel between the quarterbacks, right, in my opinion. I think TCU has a great quarterback who's been around the game, is going to be productive. And with us having Will Greer and a secondary that's had many chances to be productive, I think it's going to be a matchup from a quarterback standpoint. But then again, I agree with you saying in terms of we got to be able to stop the run.
Yes, sir.
To beat TCU in TCU, it's going to be about having to stop the run. And West Virginia's defense is going to really have to step up to bring home the W. So I certainly agree with you on that. Big games. Talk about Morgantown High and how you guys deal with big games.
We usually just try and treat them like every other game, just try not to get too stressed out about it and just go at what's at stake.
How about you guys?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Try not to get too worried about it. We go in and try to think we're 0-1 this week, so we want to be 1-0 by the end of the week.
That's good. That's a good way to think about it. You know, for me, my big game of the week, and again, I played 20 years ago, so I kind of dated myself, but it's been a long time. So a big game for me was like the Miami game, right? Miami, West Virginia. So and you knew the whole atmosphere changed during that week, right? Because the coaches was kind of a little puckered up a little bit, you know. They were wanting to be very precise on everything, and the players had stepped up their play because we knew Miami would step up their play. I assume it's the same type of mentality with these two groups. It's TCU week, right? It's us playing against the undefeated. This week, I guarantee you, coaches are looking a little closer. I know Gibby's going crazy. I know Coach Tony Gibson is absolutely going crazy. He's looking at film. The guys are looking at film. And nowadays, what's interesting about it, they have these iPads, right? They put plays on iPads. Do you guys do that yet?
Yeah, we have Huddle.
Really?
Yeah.
In high school?
Yeah.
And we just watch Huddle on TV.
Yeah.
Like all on TV.
So these guys, I can imagine that every coach dissected every play that they have. Again, I think it's that week. TCU week is week of the unbeatens in terms of TCU being 4-0. And for us to go down there, man, we're going to have to fire on all cylinders. We got to be good on all three phases of the ball. And the only phase that causes me concern is special teams. Now, when I say that, I don't say that in a derogatory way in terms of I think our special teams are just bad. I feel like the philosophy of our second team, special teams, is a little different than others. For instance, in the punt game, we haven't been able to return the punt yet. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, I think it's definitely a goal you want to have to like accomplish, but I wouldn't put that at the top of the list. But you definitely want to improve on that.
Right? What do you think about punt?
Pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? Like for instance, both of us, right? From what I gathered, or what I learned last season, because I would oftentimes, I wouldn't say criticize, but I would always bring up the point that we would not set up a return for the punt, right? So one of the coaches who wasn't a coach on the staff at the time did share with the audience that our philosophy for the most part is we want to possess the ball, right? We're you know, if we're able to advance the ball, we're fine, but we were having a really hard time in prior seasons, possessing the ball and not fumbling the ball. So our mentality is we want to possess the ball and get our offense on the field and utilize our offense to score. And maybe that, it's a different time, in my opinion. I'm from the Coach Nealon era when Coach Nealon said special teams is for special guys. And you want to be a special guy, so you play special teams and you want stuff to happen. Nowadays, it's about scoring, right? We're seeing scores. You know, average score, and I think West Virginia may be averaging maybe 35 or better, maybe even higher than 35, 43 points a game right now. It's all about scoring. Not so much about, you're not going to see a whole lot of kick returns for a touchdown. Like you guys, I mean, it's in your game, you're not seeing it much. Yeah. We're not seeing it much in the college game. What do you guys think about it? I mean, a good thing, bad thing?
I mean, I think returning would be a great thing, but I mean, as long as you get the offense on the field, like you said, utilize the clock and move the ball, and eventually get in the end zone, I think it'd be good.
Now, your thoughts?
And yeah, if you can get the ball and get your offense on the field, get down, eat up some clock, and score touchdowns, always in your favor.
And you know, and so the thing about defensive guys, though, you don't want to say this, but I don't mind being out on the field. Like, I like long drives.
Yeah.
I mean, are you guys like that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I don't mind having a long drive, being able to hit guys more. You know what I mean? I don't want to just dominate the team. I want to play football. You know what I mean? So I'm okay with that. If he can possess the ball, score real fast, get us out there so we can play a little football, you know, I think that put guys in the NFL. I mean, for us, we have Rasul Douglas, who's in the NFL. We have Kidakowski, who's playing linebacker for Chicago. We got a few guys who's able to go on because the philosophy is what it is, right? They're getting more snaps, right? What do you guys average snap-wise per game on defense? 60?
I'd say so.
Around 60, upper 60. Yeah, so last season we talked about what West Virginia did. We played Maryland last season, I believe. Yeah, there was 80 snaps in the ball game. 80 snaps. That's a lot of snaps.
That's a lot.
You know, a lot of opportunities to score, and that game was about scoring. But again, I like to talk, guys, so don't mind me. If you have questions for me, don't be afraid to say what I think about this kind of stuff as well. So my concern, and I think the difference could be, and it happened, in fact, I know for sure, there were the last 3 times we played the game was decided by a field goal, less under 7 points. Last time we played them, it was decided by a field goal for 3 times, for 2 out of the 3 times, right? So it concerns me in terms of special teams. All right. Are we ready for our audience? All right, guys, we're going to turn this thing over to the audience and allow them to ask us questions. You can either ask us questions about Morgantown High, a WVU, and all you have to do is raise your hand. If you raise your hand, we'll bring a mic over to you, and we will answer your question to the best of our ability. What do we got time for? Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? You got a question? Oh, you just brushed your hair. Any questions? Okay. All right. So this is a good trivia question, I think. But you had to be listening very carefully to get this. And this trivia question will get you a 1-year subscription to the Dominion Post. Here we go. Raise your hand. how many points in the last 2 games was the winner? How can I say this? What was the difference between the scoring in the last 2 games? The winner was decided by how many points? Raise your hand if you know it, and I'll give you multiple choice. It was decided by 3 points, by 2 points, about 1 point. This for a 1-year subscription to the Dominion Post. The last 2 games were decided by the fewest point. Yeah, WVU, TCU. WVU, TCU. The score was decided by either 3 points, 2 points, or 1 point. 1 is the correct.
3.
He had his hand up and
I didn't see
said, yeah. You're right. He was right anyway, man. It was 1 score, 1 point. I said it at the last, right before we went into that, I said that there was 3 games. They were decided under 7 points. 2 games was decided by 1 point. Yes. Thank you. Any more questions? Do you guys have any questions? We got an upcoming game against TCU. Any questions about WVU, TCU? Okay, what do we got?
I have a question for you two.
Okay.
You seem pretty friendly with each other, but with the Mohawk Bowl coming up, like, what's the mindset? Are you actually just pretending to be friends, or what's the deal?
I think it'd be like everyone's pretty much friends until the week of the Mohawk Bowl. Then it gets pretty serious and everyone gets riled up. Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing. We like each other all year round, and the week of the Mohawk Bowl we're the worst enemies.
I'm telling you, I've been invited twice to you guys' deal, and they get pretty amped up. I haven't been invited to you guys' deal, but I know University High gets pretty amped up when they get ready to play this Mohawk Bowl. And man, it's actually good. I mean, it's good, clean, wholesome fun. You know what I mean? You guys get after. I mean, last game was a good game. I mean, you guys were leading that game, and I don't know what happened last year, but bam, you guys come out halftime, man. It's a different ball game. You know, talk about it a little bit while we.
I think when we were down, I think the score was 21-7 at half. I think the thing that really got us going was the opening half kickoff. We took it to the house and basically changed the whole game. Yeah.
That's what it was. It seemed like that was the punch in the mouth, and I hate to use that terminology, but it was that, and you guys didn't respond to it. What was going on?
I mean, we went into the locker room. We were kind of shocked at how well we were playing against them because they were a good football team.
Right.
We were shocked at how well we were playing. We came out in the second half saying we didn't want to kick it to him because he was going to run it back, and we kicked it to him, and he ran it back.
Hey, I've had that experience before. I remember once I told the coach one time, it was my cousin. It was in Kansas. He was playing for Butler Community College. I said, don't kick it to this guy. And my coach tells me, JT, he's just the guy, right? And that guy burnt us, you know? So I know the feeling. But again, that Mohawk game is a game that the community really gets behind. I remember, if it wasn't 10 years ago, where they hosted that game at WVU. And I have to say, man, it was like a college game. I mean, it was like, the stands weren't as big as, but everybody that you knew were at that game, and they had tailgates there. I mean, it was just an experience. And I think they had it maybe 2 or 3 years, you know, before it dissolved itself. But it was a great game, and I think both teams were very competitive in those games. And that's the deal about this game. It is seldomly a blowout. I don't know if it's right. You know what I mean?
Close.
It's always
right.
close.
It's never a blowout between this game. You guys really lay it out on the line.
Yeah, we give each other our best games.
I get it. And it's awesome to see, man. And the sportsmanship is awesome as well. You know what I mean? I haven't seen any real, issues. I've seen sportsmanship. I've been seeing good, solid football being played by both of you guys. Well, look, let's talk about this real quick. Rankings right now. I know you guys are ranked number 2. You guys are ranked number 12. As a part of talking about this discussion, those rankings go out the door for this game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
you
sir.
guys, right?
Yes,
you don't worry about no rankings then. It's about getting out there and getting after it.
You could be 0-9, and then once you get to the Mohawk Bowl, you'd be 0-0, and that's the only thing that matters.
That's what it feels like. That's what it truly feels like. But look, I want to say good luck to you guys. You guys will be playing Wheeling Park.
Yes, sir.
Wheeling Park, who's 3-3 as well, who lost to Parkersburg last week. And you guys were playing What is it again?
Hampshire.
Hampshire. You
Yes,
guys,
sir.
and their Hampshire's what? What's their record? 3-2. Hampshire's 3-2. So good luck. Both of these games are home, right? Because it's homecoming week. I should have known that. Both games are home. So if you are free, you got 2 games to choose from. Morgantown High, University High. You can't go wrong. It'll be a great time. Do we got time for one more? Any more questions? Now, like I said, what tends to happen is, guys, this will happen. We'll get up from this table. People will walk up to us and ask us a question. That's how it normally happens. You know, it'll be a friend of yours that's sitting out there, somebody know your parents. Okay, we got another question.
With TCU's proclivity to run the ball, being number 1 in the Big East or Big 12, and WVU's trouble with it the past couple games, how many points do you think WVU has to score to win this game?
Good question. And that's almost a loaded question, too, because, you know, these games between TCU, there's been times where West Virginia scored 70 points, right? They've been ranging between 40 to 60 points in a game between WVU and TCU. That's a really loaded question. I'd say we have to score over 40 points.
That's right.
We got to be around a 43, 45-point range to really pull this off.
That's what I think.
I just think that's the place we need to be. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm thinking high-scoring game. We're going to need to put a lot of points on the board to win the game.
Yeah.
I was thinking high scoring too. It's going to be a shootout for sure.
Yeah. It is. The good thing about both teams, they respect each other, right?
Yes, sir.
They're going to respect the arm of Will Greer. I know that we'll respect their quarterback, and I know we'll try to load the box up. Now, I'll tell you one way we did a couple years ago that I thought was ingenious, and we talked about it on this show. Tony Gibson ran what we call cover zero, right? Cover zero is man-to-man defense, right? That puts another guy in the box so we can kill the run, right? If we take that approach and we shut them down, and it was in Fort Worth when we did it, right? So if we take that same, and I guarantee you he'll be looking at that same film, and the tough part is, and I'll say the first year we beat them there with cover zero. The next year they came here, we ran cover zero, and they ran us off. What I mean by that, fans, cover zero, that's man locked on, right? And when you go man, you have no other responsibility, right? When he goes vertical, you go vertical with him, right? Linebackers, you lock on. Usually you got a back coming out of the backfield. Right, or the tight end, right? So what happens is they go take you vertical and you lock on and you got an extra back. You're running with your guy and the back's running up behind you guys. In fact, that's what happened to us, right? We played them here. We ran that cover zero. Their backs were running right up on us. Same thing with Oklahoma. Samaj Purdine. We were running cover zero. The back running, our guys running vertical with them. We didn't see them. So I think this game, it's really going to be important for us to make the right calls. And I'm sure cover zero will be in that package somewhere. Great question. Certainly appreciate that question. Anything else? Well, listen, I want to do this. I want to remind everybody this month, this Breast Care Awareness Month, make sure you start bringing out your purple. As I stated last year, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's a survivor, and we want to always try to get the message out and get people to go out and get their exams. And for all of us who are supporters and families, friends of survivors, let's make sure we always greet them with a smile and celebrate them when we see them. Again, this is October Breast Care Awareness Month. Certainly be aware of it and share as much news as possible, right? That's always a good message to put out, right, guys?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say this. We'll be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go to the DominionPost.com. Look on the football section. We'll always be there. Until next time, huddle up.